First of all, Fernando, welcome to the Spotlight Podcast. I want to thank you for being here. I know that we met something like 2 years ago whenever Gino brought you by the office here in Dallas.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. It's a great honor. And indeed, I think it was actually either time goes very fast, or I think it was last September. I think it was September 2024 when we met in the office and you were editing some videos. And they said, why don't we invite you to the podcast? And I said, why not? So it's taken us 1 year to make it happen.
Nice. Well, and by the way, I'm also joined by my co-host, Laura here. Laura, who's a co-founder of the THN, the Hotels Network. You want to do a quick little intro, Laura?
Yes. Yeah. So of course, as you can imagine, I've been here since the beginning, and now we are part of the Lighthouse family. So that's why I'm joining. Plus, of course, Minor has been a client of ours for many years. So that's why we thought it was a good idea to join today.
Thank you so much. And indeed, we have been partners for many years, both with Lighthouse, even before Lighthouse, with OTA on inside, and now, of course, with the Hotel Network. So very happy to have you both.
Cool. So let's jump in. And I've kind of broken out this interview into kind of like 4 different sections, Fernando. And I'm just going to kind of jump into the first one. Now, a reason why I was so excited to have you as a guest is you're kind of our first like C-suite guests that we've had. So I've got a ton of questions for you around that.
So there's lots of responsibility.
Yeah, I can only imagine. But before we get into that, can we kind of start a little bit about your path to revenue management? So I noticed, and I was actually listening to another podcast that you were interviewed in, and it sounds like you kind of, even from an early age, kind of had this kind of like this aptitude for computer science, and then you were also coming from like a hotelier family, so you kind of have that background. But could you kind of get into how you found revenue management, how you got into revenue management, and especially that I think the path that you've taken to a revenue management leadership role is really interesting because you haven't always been a revenue leader, right? You also were involved in sales at Melia and a couple other places. So could you kind of get into that a little bit?
Well, it's, indeed, I always had a thing for computers. So I actually enrolled into a U.S. university, San Luis University, which they have a campus here in Madrid. My idea was to do computer science 1 year in Madrid and then move to the U.S. to finalize computer science. Now, during that summer, I had a breakthrough where I completely changed my mind. And as you can imagine, my parents, they were freaking out on how this guy that forever knew he wanted to. I built my first computer when I was 11 years old. So I was buying pieces from here and there. My brother, who's 10 years older than I, was living in the US. So he had a job working with computers. So I was going to his house, stealing pieces from his computers and then bringing them to Spain. And again, I built my first computer when I was 11 years old. So it was by nature that I would build my career, or that I would study computer science and I would do something related to computers. Now, during this summer, I think it was the summer of 1976 or 1977. Sorry, not 1997. Maybe earlier. I had this breakthrough where I didn't see myself working in front of a computer on a daily basis. And I've been always very passionate about hotels because my mom, my grandfather, who I never had the chance to meet, he had 2 hotels in Alicante. This is on the east of Spain, at the coast. And unfortunately enough, he died when my mom was only 16. So my mom had to take over the family business when she was only 16 years old. Then the business was sold. But my mom, she was born and raised in a hotel. And then she managed these 2 hotels for a few years, before the business was sold. So we had always these conversations about the hotels during lunch, during dinners, and I built this passion. The passion was that we were traveling to destinations when I was pretty young, and before visiting museums, I was looking at the printed guides, and I wanted to see hotels. So I changed my mind. So I studied. It was a whole mess because then I had to move from the college and I had to change universities. It was too late, but I finally was able to move into hospitality management. I studied tourism. Then I did my master's degree on hotel management, and I started working very early in hotels. First in Morocco, then at the Ritz in Madrid, and then finally I did the opening of the Hesperia Madrid Hotel, which today is the Hyatt Regency Hesperia Madrid, as the first contemporary luxury hotel in Madrid. And I think this impacts your question about sales, how I moved into revenue management and sales. And the reality is that I've been blessed by having incredible mentors. And I think as I am pretty much into training, coaching, I teach at university. For the last 17 years, I created a master's on revenue management because I was able to find revenue management training in Europe, which was decent. Everything that you wanted to learn, I did it myself, was at Cornell or some other universities, normally international. But there was nothing in Europe, there was nothing in Spain. So I wanted to create the education platform that I was not able to do as a revenue manager to take, because I had to go to the US, I had to go to Cornell. So I've always been blessed by great mentors in every single step of my career. So I was working at Hesperia Madrid. The general manager, I was in charge of operations. So I was the service center director, which basically was like a rooms division management position, managing over 35 people. I was only 23 or 24 at that stage. So I had somebody crazy enough to give me this team, which poor guys. And one day he went to Cornell to do the revenue management training. And again, this is the year 2000. Okay, so this is 25 years ago. And he came back to me with an Excel spreadsheet printed saying, Fernando, this is a pickup analysis. Then another one printed. This is a forecast. So I want you to do this. And then this became my passion. And I think it became my passion because it was a combination. This is the beauty of revenue management, which is a combination of finance. It's a combination of technology, everything that is impacting distribution. Of course, you need to understand sales. You need to have a strategic vision. And it was combining everything that I loved. So little by little, I started growing that into the hotel. After I think 6 months, 1 year, I became the revenue manager of the hotel. This is the year 2000. So nobody was talking about revenue management. And when people were asking me, even my friends, okay, what do you do? I said, I'm a revenue manager. And then the guys were, Rev what? I said, I'm like airlines. I'm the one moving the rates up and down of the hotel. So that was my easy explanation so that I wouldn't move and go into the details. So that's, and since then I built a career, very passionate about revenue management. I think it's been an age where it was not easy to implement revenue manager. When I look at my teams, it's the culture. It's part of the DNA of most of the organizations today. But in the year 2000, then I moved into Melia in 2004. I was managing revenue management for the hotels in Madrid. We were the biggest operator at this point in time with the different brands. So before I could even talk about yielding prices, we had to educate the revenue managers. We had to work on segmentation. We had to work on distribution, how rates would be pushed to the different distribution systems in a world that at that point in time was still a half online and half offline. So the combination of these two factors, you had little transparency in terms of rates. But the biggest challenge was the change management that you had to do. So that was pretty fun. I have to say that I had a massive amount of fun in those years. Now, if you make the calculations, what I said, you can understand how old I am.
Well, yeah, when you said 1977, I was like, wait a minute, there's no way 1977.
1997.
Yeah, 97 makes sense. Yeah. 97 makes sense. Nice. Well, let me ask you another question too. So one thing that you just said stood out to me a little bit was you were like, they were crazy to give me a team at age 23, right? So you've been in a leadership position for a while now. So I think that you'll have a really good perspective on this. But I did want to ask you a little bit about, being at that C-suite level that you're at. So I didn't want to ask the cliche question like, oh, what is your day-to-day like as a C-suite, right? Because that's, I don't know if people will be able to really get a lot out of that. But what I did want to ask you was, what changes when you go from that, let's say, SVP of revenue or VP of revenue, and then go up to the C-suite level? Because I think a lot of people who do watch the podcast and listen to the podcast are kind of the SVP of revenue, VP of revenue level. Do you have any thoughts there? Kind of like what changes as you go up to the C-suite level from that SVP or VP level?
It's a great question. Listen, I have massive respect for the rest of the disciplines in any hotel chain. Finance, of course, operations. I mean, you can imagine. No? I mean, we are hotel business. I mean, we live out of what we operate, receiving our guests in our hotels, hosting them, securing that the experience is fantastic in any of our properties. But the reality is that commercial is the oxygen of any company. So no, I'm not even thinking about hospitality. I mean, Lighthouse, the hotel networks, if the revenues are not coming, the rest is just ratios based on how much are we producing, which revenues are we bringing. And so what I always like to say is that the top line commercial is the oxygen of the company. So if we are out of oxygen, we have a problem. So I think that the value that first I was given when I became part of the management board is how I was able to influence on things and get impacted to other things which were broader than the commercial discipline. I'm thinking about M&A deals, people, activities or actions that we are following from the human resources perspective, financing. So how we are refinancing the company, what deals we might be doing, operations. I mean, how do we need to steer from the commercial perspective and based on each of the brand value propositions, how do we need to steer on a different way or a different perspective or with the perspective itself, the different operations that we are following and the guest experience that we are giving in our hotels, looking at quality and so forth. But I think that the major change comes with development and expansion, and this is when it's very clear when you are moving from an asset-heavy organization, which we still are, as we are progressing into an asset-light organization where we are creating brands. Or we are creating services for independent hotels so that we can franchise our brands. And we have other brands, which will be conversion brands, which will be easier for the independent hotels to actually join our commercial network, our loyalty program, and so forth. And this is where, in my opinion, I'm able to bring value to the entire organization, as in the end, what we are selling to investors is first the brands, then is the commercial pipes, then is loyalty. So everything, how we can completely step change what an independent hotel is doing by being alone, then by connecting to our systems, getting any of our brands, and then being able to improve their top line and probably the cost as well in different ways because of a more efficient distribution platform, more efficient commissions with third parties, the wave that we're bringing to the hotel in terms of direct sales, repeated customers from our loyalty program. So I think being able first, being selfish, what brought me is, it was a master's degree when I joined the management board in 2000, I think it was 2016, being exposed to all these different things that I was not exposed before because I wasn't a specialist. And then you become more of a generalist that has a broader picture of the organization, which basically helps you grow a more strategic vision, which is not just your discipline, is how this is impacting everything that I'm doing, how this is impacting all the disciplines, and how this is impacting the company and the organization overall, not just for the short term, but in the long term. So I think it's a massive amount of learning that I was exposed to. Again, this was thanks to another mentor that I had, who brought me to the management committee. I was the youngest member of the management committee of an H hotel group at that point. Now we are minor hotels Europe and Americas. I was able to see the whole acquisition of Minor Hotels of NH Hotel Group. So I was part of that deal and part of that process, which has been an incredible journey, as probably the hotel network is seeing now with the Lighthouse. And yeah, it's and now I think we're in a pivotal moment where commercial is able to feed all the different disciplines, especially development, on how we need to push our brands, and if we want to continue growing, and if we want to expand, how commercial is going to support that growth plan.
Yeah, and in fact, related to this, our next question was related to the branding strategy that the Minor Hotel Group has had. Recently, it has been you've done 3 big tiers: the luxury, the premium, and the select. And in fact, we are curious to learn to which extent it is how the top hotel companies like Minor determine their branding strategy. Is it something to what extent is reactive or proactive, or it is something that, okay, let's start something new and capitalize on existing assets that we already have?
Very good. It's another fantastic question, which actually resonates pretty much with the pivotal moment that we are living today, as being part of Minor Hotels and having a new CEO, Mr. Gonzalo Aguilar, who's joining us from Marriott, from a very extensive career at Marriott International, and he's bringing some know-how, and we are adapting this know-how as well to our needs and from what we want to do. So I think when you look at, I'm going to start with NH, all right? This is the year 2014. We only had one brand, which was NH. 2015, well, we had Now, but Now or NHOW, the way it should be pronounced is Now Hotels, NHOW. But in the end, we only had one brand. Now, in 2015, we created a brand, NH Collection, which has been a huge success on how we have been able to position NH Collection not only in Europe and the Americas, but in Asia. We opened a few years ago our first NH collection in Maldives. We opened our first NH collection in Thailand. So we are expanding massively the brand in Dubai, in Sri Lanka. So it's a very successful brand. But in 2015, we only had 2 brands. And the name of the holding was NH Hotel Group, which had the NH name as well. Now, our reality today is that we have Minor Hotels that we brought as a consumer-facing brand at the beginning of this year. So we have launched Minor Hotels as a consumer-facing brand with minorhotels.com as a platform where any consumer can book any of our 550 hotels worldwide within one shopping itinerary, which is something that we didn't have when Minor took over NH. We have only one loyalty program instead of 5, which is called Minor Discovery. We have launched our platform for professionals, which is called Minor Pro. And this is since January. It's only October, the time we are recording this podcast. And we have launched 4 new brands. So these 4 new brands are Wolseley Hotels and Resorts. This is coming from a company we owned in the UK, which is the Wolseley Hospitality Group. So if you've been to London, you've probably been to the Wolseley Cafe, which is in front of the Ritz Hotel. It's a classic British bistro, which has an incredible heritage. So what we want to do is we want to take that British heritage to the hotel business. So hopefully very soon we will be able to disclose our first Wolseley hotel in the US, which is going to be amazing. This is going to be a hard brand. We will not be franchising Wolseley hotels, as we will not be franchising Anantara Hotels and Resorts. So this is very hard brands. We want to control the operation 100%. Then we are launching 2 collection brands. Minor Reserve Collection, which is a luxury brand for independent hotels, and then the second brand will be the Colbert Collection, which is a soft brand, a collection brand for upper upscale hotels, for superior 5-star hotels. And one of the brands where we are spending a lot of time working on is I Stay Hotels by NH. which basically means we are launching a conversion brand that should make it very easy for independent hotels to convert their hotel in secondary destinations, primary destinations where we do not have any NH property in Europe and the Americas, convert into an I-stay hotel endorsed by NH and benefit from all our commercial pipes, our corporate agreements, our distribution, our sales force, our loyalty program, where we have more than 13 million customers active in our database, and so forth. So that's something that we're working. So in the end, I'm sorry because it is taking me a little bit longer to answer to your question, but the reality, it's very complex how an organization is able to move from one brand in 2014 to 12 brands in 2025, that with brands that will go to market in 2026. So it's I mean, there are complexities. Now it's very clear that we do not aspire to have 50 brands. So the idea is that we have what we believe we have today. We have very strong brands, starting with Anantara, with Tivoli, NH Collection, NH. Now we're going to launch new brands now that is going to help us grow on the asset light business, which is something that we were not working before. So now we are creating the platform, and indeed we want to make sure that we do not necessarily become the biggest hotel chain, which is very clear. We want to be the best. And we understand that with the size we have today, we have all the ingredients to become the first the first chain for our customers, so that they have more capillarity, they have more hotels, so that we can build more network effect. But at the same time, not compete with others that may have, 50 hotels in a destination with 30 different brands, where they need to spread the volumes that they are able to deliver into the different hotels or the different brands. So again, we do not aspire to be the biggest. We do aspire to be the best for owners, the best for our guests, and of course, the best for our employees. It sounds a little bit theoretical, but it's part of our DNA in this entrepreneurial mindset and the purpose and the vision that we do aspire to have.
Nice. I think that's a really good segue, Fernando, to kind of this fourth topic that we wanted to touch on, which is the current state of the industry. And, we're talking a lot about brands and the different brands that Minor has built. But one thing I wanted to talk about was, here at Lighthouse, we do these pricing reports, right? Where we'll do a live webinar where we're going over the, H1 results, H2 results. And now we're actually shifting that to more of like a quarterly focus. But one thing that we've been seeing in the past couple of years is there's kind of this split between branded hotels and then independent hotels. And what we're seeing is, when times are bad and hotels are dropping prices, branded hotels are more insulated, they're more safe. And then when times are good, branded hotels tend to have a little bit more of an upswing and more upside in their pricing. So I wanted to ask, is this a trend that you're seeing at Minor? It just seems that, first of all, branded hotels are becoming kind of more acceptable for travelers worldwide. But also, too, there's a lot of benefits to being part of a brand that, these independent hotels that don't have any brand affiliation, when times are bad, they really have it bad, right? So could we kind of talk a little bit about branded independent hotels, why you think that is, that branded hotels just in general have been outperforming the past couple of years, and then those benefits of branded hotels, and then maybe why travelers are more apt to stay at a branded hotel, even in Europe or Latin America?
Very good. Yeah, it's a great question. And I think that, the first keyword I would use is what is happening in Europe today and Latin America, more even in Latin America, is called volatility. So I do not envy my revenue managers who need to forecast quite often on how they are forecasting, because it's so difficult to forecast today, even if we have all the tools, some of these tools provided by you guys, but it's becoming so challenging to forecast with the volatility we have today. So we've seen a fantastic Q1, then Q2, it's been quite eclectic, and then June and July was very difficult, then August was very good, and now in September, October, we are seeing this demand again coming in the last minute, which is fantastic, no? But it didn't come in June or July, where we needed this last minute peak out. No, we were expecting it. So that's been said is, and specifically answering to your question is, I guess I'm going to speak as minor hotels. I don't know what the rest are doing, but it's when you look at why we perform better, and the beauty of this industry is that we have access to tons of data and huge information. So we have our market penetration in mostly all the hotels where we operate. So we are leaders in most of the markets, in most of the markets, with exceptions where we operate in terms of RGI. And when we look at the ranking, we are either one or two in most of those destinations. And sometimes we are competing against independents. Sometimes we are competing against independents and hotel chains. But the reality is that we have a very good performance. And the reason this is why we are probably more resilient when the demand goes down, and we can perform better where the demand is up, is because how we have worked strategically, our market segmentation, our channel mix, and our feeder market mix. And this is something that I'm obsessed since I've been leading commercial teams, since I've been leading the commercial strategies. If you want to increase your RevPAR, this is not just a question of adding more volumes, decreasing rates, or increasing ADR and decreasing volumes. Is how do we steer these three things, which is segmentation, the channel mix, and the feeder market mix. And if you want to increase your ADR, probably you need more. I don't know, if you are in Madrid and you want to increase your ADR, this is how are we tackling the US market, which is it's bringing a higher paying customer. How do we bring more business direct from the channel mix perspective, which in the end is bringing a higher net ADR into our properties. This is something that we implemented almost 8 years ago, which is the net ADR analysis that is allowing us to understand by feeder market, not only by channel, by feeder market, by channel, and by segment, who's bringing the highest net ADR into our properties. If I would subtract all the distribution costs and everything, that even the payroll of the people, because it wouldn't be fair. So we have teams in charge of brand.com. We have agencies. We have the amortization of the systems. So we need to add that into the analysis. Otherwise, it would be we would be only looking at half the analysis. So this is what we consider the net ADR. So I think that the strategic focus that we are able to have, it's one of the components. Now, the second component is brands. Brands are key because they bring loyalty to customers. When we create any of these 12 brands, we have a unique selling proposition. We have a value proposition. We have storytelling. So we create brands that the customer should understand. If we do our job well, customers should understand where they book an Antara, what they're going to expect. When they book an NH, they are going to expect great value for money, great location, fantastic breakfast, efficiency on check-in, check-out, and a fantastic room. Same thing with an H collection. They're going to experience a more lifestyle experience, but with the same level of efficiency, with even better materials than what they would find at an H. So brands, what they bring is that kind of loyalty to the consumer. And then, of course, if you're able to bring loyalty and you have a loyalty program, strong loyalty program, as we do have with Minor Discovery, they will be able to gain perks. But again, I think loyalty is not about the perks. Loyalty goes far beyond about the points that they're getting in our hotels. It goes beyond having extraordinary experiences that they can repeat through staying in each of the different hotels of the chain or the brand that they love. So that's, in my opinion, loyalty. It's far beyond the points. Even, of course, it's always good to have points. Now, that loyalty is going to bring more direct sales. It's going to bring less dependency on some specific channels. Yeah, everybody's thinking about the OTAs, of course, about the OTAs. And you're going to have probably a more healthy, what I like to say, it's a healthier channel mix or segment mix into each of the hotels. So all that together is going to bring more resilient to whatever is going to happen in the future, even if it's more upsides, because you will have more loyal customers willing to pay more for your hotels, because they will book your superior rooms, they will book your junior suites. They will book direct, so they're going to bring a higher net ADR, and then of course you're going to have this base of corporate travelers, airlines, FITs, MICE business groups, you name it, all the different segments that are filling the hotel as if we were talking about an onion, no, like the different layers of an onion, no? And that's something that I believe that brands, or at least at Minor Hotels, we pay a very strong attention to that. Now, and I finished answering to your question. It's when you look about the distribution is key as well. It's the level of capillarity that we are able to build with our distribution partnerships, the quality of the connectivities that we are able to build, and the quality of the partnerships that we are able to build are absolutely, that makes a difference. I was just before this podcast, I was talking to our commercial director in South America, and we were talking about our new opening in Lima. We just opened 2 months ago, the Now Lima, which in my opinion is one of the best hotels in Lima today. I wouldn't say it if I wouldn't believe it. Okay, not because I work for Minor, but it's true. It's an incredible hotel, great location. It's modern. It's everything that you may think. So the beauty is that we just opened the hotel, and today the hotel is running the second month almost 90% MPI, because we made 3 or 4 phone calls to very strong partners with whom we work almost everywhere in the world, and they are able to bring their business to us. If you are an independent hotel in Lima, in Peru, you wouldn't be able to do this. So that's, in my opinion, the strength one of the strengths that we can build. And the more digital the world is, the more we are talking about AI, in my opinion, the more than human connection, the more than moving from transactional relationships to human relationship is going to have an impact in the future, which is, again, picking up the phone, somebody answers this, and I just opened the Now in Lima. We have this track record. You know how we operate. I need this crew that you have in this hotel. Move it to our hotel. And it's not going to be in 24 hours, but maybe in 2 weeks' time, they are able to do the move and put this business into our property. And this is a real example of something that happened.
Maybe connected to this, and just to finalize this, you were mentioning about the channel mix, and you were mentioning as well about AI. I guess you've heard about ChatGPT and the apps that have been launched very recently. And in fact, this is going to be a new channel for hotels to get direct bookings in the future. I don't know if Minor has. I know it's very early, and the launch of the apps has been very recent. But this the speed of what ChatGPT and the rest of Perplexity, Gemini are moving forward. This is going to happen very, very soon. So is Minor already thinking on how to approach this new channel that is going to appear soon?
We are. The straight answer is yes, we are. It's funny enough, and we could have the time for another podcast so I can talk about our founder, Mr. Bill Heineke, which it deserves an entire podcast, so I can guide you to the story of Minor Hotels, which is extremely interesting. Our founder, which is our chairman, Mr. Bill Heineke, he's the first one. He's 70. I don't want to make a mistake, but 72, 74. He's the one pushing the adoption of AI within the organization. So every meeting we have with him, we are competing against ChatGPT. So that's where everything starts, which is the entrepreneur who's actually 70-something, is driving the vision of the company, and he's already talking about AI. So the answer is 100%. We are looking into AI. We have our AI committee that we are having every 2 months. The idea was that we wanted to do this every 3 months. We moved it to every 2 months because it's going so fast that already in a quarter would not be enough so that we can make the right decisions. And we are working, I would say, with a very strategic mindset on what we need to do on AI. So it's very clear that the future is going to be AI. I don't know if it's going to become a channel, as you were saying. Probably it's going to become a source of business. And but what is very clear is that we will need to change the way we operate. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm not even going to talk about connectivities, MCPs, what we build to be able to be searchable, to be able to be bookable through any of these tools, which we are discussing. It's what do we do when somebody is working or planning a trip to a destination, so that we become top of mind and we are present. And the reality is that we will be investing. We are already investing more on PR and communication. That what we were doing before, for one reason, because the impact, not just on paid media, the impact of earned media into the searches that GEO is going to have is going to be massive. Being present on blogs, being present on celebrities that have posted, celebrities or content creators who have posted on their websites, being present on magazines, digital magazines, which are talking about the destination. So that only that impact. I mean, how we need to think how we spend not the money, but the efforts on paid media versus earned media. That's already a piece of work that we need to define. No? And then, of course, second is this going to become a channel? What do we do? Are we going to be able to connect direct to these AI tools? Do we need to create our own MCP connector? Do we need to go through a third party? How much is going to cost? I mean, this third party. So it's very niche. But I think the key question for any leader and at the management board, what we are discussing is what's hype and what's really strategic that we need to focus, and where should we invest so that we do not lose the capacity to invest on things that they will not have a return, or that is going to have us losing focus on the real things that actually will have an impact. So I think this is one of the major challenges that any leader has today with AI is how do we do the investment? Where do they put the efforts? What's hype and what's here to stay? And that's not easy to determine in many cases. No?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice. Fernando, that was amazing. I know, sorry, we're kind of encroaching on your next meeting a little bit. I think I could easily keep you here for like 2 or 3 hours and just keep asking you questions, but I know you have to run. But thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything just here in this last minute? Do you have anything, that you want to announce, anything coming up, any events that you'll be at, or just anything that you want to let any listeners or viewers know?
No, thank you so much. It's, I think that everyone knows I'm on LinkedIn. So if anybody wants to connect, I'm very happy to connect through LinkedIn, a direct message. If there are any independent hotels that are listening to this, we are going to move fast into the asset-light model. We are launching these 4 new brands. There's going to be limited capacity in some destinations. So if you are interested on joining a company which is entrepreneurial, which is driving incredible margins, incredible distribution, great loyalty program, I would be very happy to receive any LinkedIn messages and then put you in touch with our development team.
Cool. All right. Well, this has been the Spotlight Podcast, and our guest today was Fernando Vives of Minor Hotels. Fernando, thank you again so much. This was awesome.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Cool. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks again.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Fernando. It was a pleasure.
Still there? Okay, yes. Apologies. I guess
No worries.
All good. No. Luckily, the internet was perfect. It was just now that was frozen.
Yeah,
but all
we've
good.
been so lucky. Guys, thank you so much. We're looking forward to listening to the podcast. And Absolutely. If there is anything else you want to do, both Laura and Daniel, happy to support you on any initiative. I know we are in conversations with this AI and MCP and so forth. I mean, the team is working on it. So let's see how it works.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
No, it was just, I think it was interesting for everyone. So I thought it was, why not the leader having an opinion for everyone on what a big brand is going to do. So thank you.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.